The moment Officer David Miller stepped into room 204 with his K-9 partner Rex, the air shifted. What was supposed to be a simple school safety talk instantly spiraled into chaos. 1 second, students were laughing and whispering. The next, Rex stiffened his sharp ears, pricking forward. Then came the sound that silenced everything, an explosive bark that rattled the classroom walls. Rex lunged, straining against the leash, his powerful body aimed directly at Mr. Andrew Collins, the soft-spoken English teacher by the whiteboard. The teacher froze, chalk dropping from his hand, his face draining of color. Rex's heel David barked, tightening his grip. But Rex wouldn't budge. His snarls deepened. Teeth-bared hackles raised his entire frame, a barrier between the teacher and the rows of wide-eyed students. Gasps erupted. Chairs scraped backward. Some kids whispered nervously, others clutched their phones filming. David's heart pounded. Rex had never misread a situation. Never. If he was reacting like this, something was dangerously wrong. The room was thick with fierce students glued to their seats, while Mr. Collins's trembling hands betrayed a calm voice that faltered, "Easy, boy, I haven't done anything." But Rex wasn't buying it, and neither was David. The classroom buzzed with panic. Students whispered frantically, some shifting in their seats, torn between fear and disbelief. To them, Rex was supposed to be part of a friendly demonstration, yet here he was, growling with a ferocity none of them had ever witnessed. Officer David tightened his grip, pulling hard on the leash. "Rex down," he commanded again, his voice sharp. But the dog didn't move. His body remained rigid, planted firmly between Mr. Collins and the kids. His growls vibrated through the floor, primal and unyielding. Mr. Collins tried to laugh it off, his voice shaky. Maybe he doesn't like my cologne," he muttered, attempting a smile that never reached his eyes. Sweat glistened on his brow, but David's instincts screamed otherwise. Rex had served for 6 years, sniffing out explosives, narcotics, even hidden weapons, and he had never been wrong. Not once. The door creaked open, and another teacher peeked in alarmed. David forced a tight smile and tugged Rex toward the hallway. But even as they exited, Rex's barks thundered back into the classroom, echoing down the corridor. Something was off, very off, and David knew this was only the beginning. That night, Officer David sat on the edge of his bed, still in uniform, staring blankly at the floor. The image of Rex lunging at Mr. Collins replayed over and over in his mind like a broken film reel. Rex had never behaved that way. Never during demonstrations, never even under stress in the field. Across the room, Rex paced restlessly. His nails clicked against the hardwood floor as he circled, pausing occasionally to sniff David's boots, the same ones that had brushed against Mr. Collins earlier. Each time the dog let out a low whine, ears pricked, eyes burning with unspoken urgency. "This isn't nerves," David muttered under his breath. He had trusted Rex for years through countless dangerous missions. The dog's instincts had saved lives more than once. If Rex was this unsettled, something was very wrong. Unable to ignore it, David opened his laptop. His fingers flew across the keys as he searched for Mr. Collins' background. To his surprise, there was almost nothing. No photos, no history before 5 years ago. Just a clean teaching record at Lincoln High. Too clean. A gnawing unease grew inside him. He picked up his phone and called Lena, an old friend in cybersecurity. "I need a favor," he said quietly. "There's something off about one of the teachers. My K-9 won't leave it alone." On the other end, Lena's tone grew serious. "Send me the name. I'll dig. If Rex is reacting, I believe him." David leaned back, exhaling sharply. The storm was only beginning. The following evening, David's phone buzzed just as he was cleaning Rex's food bowl. Lena's voice was sharp, urgent. "David, you're not going to like this," she began. "I ran Collins's name. Or rather, the name he's using now. It doesn't check out. 5 years ago, he filed for a legal name change. Before that, he was Daniel Harwell." David froze, his grip tightening on the phone. Harwell, the name gnawed at the edges of his memory. "Yes," Lena confirmed, her fingers clacking over the keyboard in the background. "And it gets worse. 10 years ago, Harwell was questioned in connection with a missing persons case. A teenage girl, Emily Carson, 17 years old. She vanished walking home from school. They found her backpack, but never her body. The case went cold. The air in David's kitchen felt suddenly heavy. He glanced at Rex, who was sitting by the door, ears alert as if he too understood every word. "David, there's more." Lena whispered. Guess who helped in that investigation? Your K9 Rex. He was still young back then, but he sniffed Emily's belongings. That dog never forgets a scent. A chill ran down David's spine. Pieces clicked together: Rex's violent reaction in the classroom, his restless pacing, his growls at Colin's scent. This wasn't coincidence, it was recognition. David's heart hammered. If Rex remembers him, then Collins, or Harwell, he knows the truth. Silence lingered between them until Lena spoke again, her voice grave. Be careful, David. If he's been hiding for this long, he's dangerous, and Rex might have just exposed him. David looked down at his loyal partner. Rex's eyes blazed with determination, as if urging him forward. The past wasn't buried, it was alive and waiting to be uncovered. That night, David couldn't shake the weight of Lena's words. Harwell wasn't just a teacher, he was a man who had once slipped through the cracks of justice. And now, thanks to Rex, the truth was clawing its way back to the surface. Pulling his jacket tight, David parked across the street from Harwell's small rental home. Rex sat in the passenger seat, muscles taut, ears twitching with every faint sound in the still neighborhood. Easy boy, David whispered, though his own pulse hammered with unease. At first, the house was silent, lights dimmed. Hours ticked by until just past midnight, a faint glow appeared in the basement window. David leaned forward, heart in his throat. A shadow moved behind the curtains. Rex stiffened, a low growl rumbling from his chest. He pawed at the door, straining toward the house. David followed his gaze to the basement side entrance. Something was there. Unable to resist, he stepped out of the car, Rex at his side. They walked casually down the sidewalk, their pace deliberate. But as they neared the basement window, Rex suddenly lunged, barking sharply. The sound cut through the night like a blade. Inside, the shadow froze. Then a light snapped off. David's instinct screamed. Harwell had something to hide, and Rex had just exposed it. Clutching the leash tighter, David whispered, "Good boy. Whatever's down there, we'll find it." The hunt for the truth had begun. By dawn, David had filed for an emergency warrant. His report, backed by Rex's relentless behavior, was enough to convince the department that something was buried inside Harwell's home. Hours later, the convoy arrived. Officers moved silently through the still streets surrounding the property before the sun had fully risen. David stood at the front, Rex alert at his side, eyes fixed on the house. The door crashed open. The team swept through the rooms, kitchen, living room, bedroom, all seemingly normal. But Rex wasn't interested in any of it. The German Shepherd pulled hard-nosed low, leading David straight toward the basement door. "All right, open it," David ordered. With a creak, the door swung wide, revealing a narrow staircase. The smell hit them, first musty, stale, and faintly metallic. Rex descended quickly, barking at the far wall. Officers searched the space, tapping on the wooden panels. A hollow thud echoed back. Behind a false wall, they uncovered a sealed box. Inside were photographs, notes, and clothing evidence long thought lost in the Emily Carson case. A heavy silence fell. Rex sat back, his eyes steady as if to say, "I told you so." The truth had finally come to light. The early morning air was thick with tension as officers surrounded the small house. David stood at the doorway, Rex by his side, heart pounding but steady. With one hard knock, the silence shattered. The door opened, and there stood Mr. Hargrave, or rather, Daniel Harwell, his expression calm, almost detached, as if he'd been expecting them. But his stillness couldn't mask the truth anymore. "Daniel Harwell," David announced, his voice firm. "You're under arrest for obstruction of justice and suspicion in the disappearance of Emily Carson." Cuffs clicked into place. For the first time, the man's mask cracked, his eyes darting nervously as Rex growled low, a sound that carried the weight of years of buried secrets. Neighbors began to gather, whispering in disbelief. Some gasped, others shook their heads. For so long, Harwell had been the soft-spoken teacher they trusted. Now he was exposed as something far darker. Back at the station, forensic teams confirmed everything: the box, the photos, the DNA. Emily Carson's family finally had answers after a decade of torment. As the sun rose higher, David knelt beside Rex, giving him a firm pat. "You did it, partner," he whispered. "You saved them all." Life often reminds us that truth cannot be hidden forever. In this story, it wasn't technology or human instinct alone that uncovered the darkness. It was the loyalty and intuition of a dog who refused to be silenced. The lesson here is profound. Sometimes the smallest voices or the instincts we often overlook hold the greatest truths. Trust, courage, and persistence are what bring hidden realities into the light. We also see that justice demands patience and vigilance. Even when years have passed and answers seem lost, hope remains for those who continue seeking it. David trusted Rex's instincts, just as we should learn to trust both our intuition and the signs around us. In life, never dismiss warnings simply because they don't fit the calm surface of appearances. Evil can hide behind a mask, but truth guided by courage and compassion will always prevail.